The characteristics of Vietnamese culture are the outstanding features and unique attributes of culture when we compare it with other cultures in the region and internationally. Applying the geographical historical approach, the characteristics of Vietnamese culture crystallize the results of thousands of years of labor and struggle to build and defend the country of the nation, including culture formed from wet rice agriculture in the river and island regions, promoting the value of traditional family culture, strong communal character, autonomy of village culture, permeated with patriotism, national consciousness, promoting women's rights, valuing agriculture, remoteness, and the sea, multi-ethnicity, unity and diversity, a culture that can live, adapt, and harmoniously absorb other human civilizations. 1. The economy was formed from the agricultural base of wet rice cultivation in the inland and coastal areas. Vietnam is located in Southeast Asia, S-shaped, running from north to south. The land area is 331,212 kilometers. The coastline is 3,260 kilometers long. According to international and domestic legal documents, our country's sea is more than 3 times larger than the land area and accounts for about 29% of the total area of the East Sea, with over 3,000 large and small islands. The climate is tropical, hot and dry, with lots of rain, cold northeast monsoon, and winter rains. The winds southeast from the East Sea flow into the land, meet high mountains, cold air, and form tropical rain. In Vietnam, most of the large and small rivers originate from the mountainous areas in the north and flow eastward to the sea. The water carries a lot of alluvium to deposit on the mountain valleys and coastal deltas, suitable for irrigation. Vietnam has 54 ethnic groups with a population of more than 96.2 million people, of which the Kin ethnic group has more than 82 million, accounting for 85.3%, according to the April 1, 2019 census, followed by the Tay, Thai, Muong, and Khmer ethnic groups. The residents of these 5 ethnic groups all rely on rice cultivation as their main source of income. Therefore, the foundation and mainstream of Vietnamese culture is the culture of the Kin people, then the Tay, Thai, Muong, Khmer, and then the remaining ethnic minorities. Historically, the residence of the Vietnamese people in the Delta is also the same. In the foothill valleys, they propose to be located along rivers, water sources, coastal areas, or in islands with water for living. During feudal times, the majority of Vietnamese people lived mainly by farming, mainly rice cultivation. The value system of the profession in feudal times, the classes were scholars, farmers, artisans, and merchants. Farmers were ranked second after mandarins. The policy throughout feudal times was to encourage farmers to grow rice. The king ordered this, build dikes, and dig canals to regulate rice cultivation. This regulation leads to the number of proverbs in Vietnamese culture. Folk knowledge about the profession is mostly a summary of experiences in rice cultivation and issues related to conventional rice cultivation. In the past, people could not use electric pumps to bring water into the fields. Rice cultivation depended on natural conditions, especially water. Our ancestors said, first, water, second, fertilizer, third, diligence, fourth, like. The festival is a major activity of the villagers in the countryside that still preserves cultural activities related to water, such as the belief in praying for rain, worshiping the mother of rice, worshiping the 4 dharmas, clouds, rain, thunder, lightning, praying for water, praying for dryness, praying for good weather, and praying for enough water to be full of rice. Life is full. Vietnamese people's meals are mainly made from rice, a product of the rice plant. Rice is a pearl. There are many delicious dishes that are prepared from rice. 2. Culture that promotes traditional family values. Family is the cell of society, the birthplace, the place where human personality is nurtured. Each person, each country has the choice, promoting different values in family culture. For Vietnamese people, traditional family cultural values are derived from adaptation and the response of the people to nature and society in the face of historical challenges. Also, worshiping ancestors, the Vietnamese people show deep affection and respect for their ancestors through religious rituals. In the house, the most solemn and lavishly decorated place is the ancestral altar. However, many people in the world do not worship, or if they do, the altar is usually small and left alone in the corner of the house. Vietnamese people worship their ancestors without time limit. After 5 generations, they put the incense bowl to worship their ancestors in a main incense bowl called the ancestor incense bowl. Respecting the graves, the death anniversaries of grandparents and parents, there is no custom of removing graves or removing places of worship. In the end, worshiping ancestors is the way Vietnamese people respect their parents. Traditional Vietnamese family culture is rich in humane values such as respecting the elderly, loving children, and promoting the relationship between husband and wife. My husband is my brother or sister. I love him. If he is someone else's husband, I don't care. Respecting matriarchy, despite living in a patriarchal society, the role of the mother is indispensable in the family's cultural activities. The mother is the one who holds the keys, is the main spender, and participates in the creation of cultural rituals. Children and grandchildren must be able to stay at home, be filial to parents. Brothers and sisters must be close, get along, and help each other in times of trouble and difficulty. The motto is, when the older sister falls, the younger sister helps. Traditional family cultural values are expressed in social relationships, such as calling older people elders, grandparents, uncles, aunts, and younger people like siblings, grandchildren, and children. One of the traditional cultural values of three, a culture characterized by community and autonomy of each village. Village is a unique social organization in feudal society in Vietnam. The village originated from a bloodline clan and later expanded to include many clans living together. Vietnamese village clearly demonstrates communal character. Village members are closely related to each other in all life activities, from farming, raising animals, exchanging goods, to organizing cultural activities. Under feudalism, every Vietnamese village had communal land. The entire village's assets were redistributed every 3 to 5 years according to the birth rate, sons, in the village. This was an important economic foundation for each village member to be attached to each other. The village was the fatherland, the place where one's ancestors were buried, the place that everyone respectfully called their homeland. The remaining communal fields are assigned to village members to grow crops to collect profits for the village's work. The communal house is a symbol of each village, worshiping the patron saint. The village community together organizes village festivals to demonstrate spiritual strength in religious buildings, communal houses, temples, pagodas, shrines, and shops. Community spirit is expressed in cultural activities of village members, such as weddings, funerals, birthdays, housewarmings, etc. During the feudal period, the organization of each Vietnamese village was very tight. Some researchers have compared the Vietnamese village to a miniature picture of Vietnamese society, clearly showing autonomy. There is a proverb, each village is its own village. Each village worships its own saint. The king's law is subject to village customs. Each village creates cultural symbols with its own aesthetic value through the architecture of village gates, communal houses, pagodas, wells, and seas. Vietnamese villages maintain a communal democratic mechanism, where all male members are allowed to discuss village affairs. The Council of Elders, people with authority and power in the village, has an advisory role to the head of the village in deciding on village affairs, and the work of the village is implemented when receiving the consensus of the Council of Elders. Every Vietnamese village has its own customs. Many democratic villages discuss and pass treaties, maintaining long-standing customs. In their behavior, Vietnamese people place their relationship with their neighbors above their relationship with their blood relatives. Sell distant brothers to buy close neighbors. Live in the village, be rich in the country. Respect for the elderly. The court respects the king. The village respects the elderly. Community and autonomy are the basis for Vietnamese villages to become cultural fortresses to preserve the region's uniqueness. Researchers believe that the structure of Chinese society is individual, family, clan, nation, while the structure of Vietnamese society is individual, family, village, society, nation. Thus, in Vietnam, the village is an autonomous entity, but the village and the country have a close relationship with each other, creating the value of village sentiment and peace. 4. The culture is deeply imbued with the spirit of patriotism and national consciousness. History has proven that throughout thousands of years, the northern empires did not give up their wild ambition to annex the Vietnamese land into districts and counties, plotting to assimilate the Vietnamese people. Faced with historical challenges, the Vietnamese people defended themselves with weapons and civilization, promoting and spreading the spirit of patriotism and national consciousness. The Vietnamese people created the legendary Hong Bang system to talk about the origin of the ethnic groups in Vietnam, considering the ethnic groups in Vietnam as compatriots. The fatherland is a big family, with the Hung Kings as the national ancestors who founded the first Van Lang state in the history of the Vietnamese nation. They created the legend of Mi Chao, Trong Thuy, to pass on to future generations the lesson of foreign influence. Folk tales talk about the intelligence of Vietnamese mandarins and statesmen in maintaining the dignity of the nation and country when confronting the king, mandarins, and envoys from the north. Fighting against foreign invasions with the spirit, when the enemy comes to our home, even women must fight. Vietnamese villages built communal houses to worship village gods as patron saints, most of whom worshipped village gods who had contributed to fighting against foreign invaders and contributed to the cause of national construction. Songs calling for national unity. Everyone loves each other, even though they are different. They are on the same platform. Many things cover the mirror. People in the same country must love each other. During feudal times, the Vietnamese concept of loyalty to the king was always linked to patriotism. The concept of national territory has been Vietnamese people's knowledge of the Van Lang nation through the story of the Van Lang nation consisting of 15 tribes. Therefore, there is a story of Emperor Quang Trung sending a letter to the Governor-General of Luang Quang, Guangdong, Guangxi, demanding to clearly divide the old border, determined to take back the land of the Hung Kings. This spirit of patriotism permeates all cultural and artistic activities. Patriotic literature, regardless of the period in the history of the Vietnamese people, especially the period of feudal autonomy, is also deeply imbued with patriotism. The article affirms that Vietnam is a sovereign nation with a clear position and a long-standing culture. Typical examples are the worshipping poem Nam Quoc Sơn Ha, the land of the Southern Emperor, a legend of General Li Thuong Kiet, and the poem Bin Ngo Dai Cao, a poem of great poet Nguyen Trai. Most of all, the Vietnamese people understood that losing their land meant losing their nationality. Losing their country meant working together to preserve their identity, to accept foreign cultures, and to call northerners who came to live in their country guests. Historical and cultural relics commemorating those who contributed to the country, and the anti-invasion literature and art clearly demonstrate the spirit, determination, and will to protect the fatherland and the love for peace. Nothing is more precious than independence and freedom of the Vietnamese people, as President Ho Chi Minh taught. 5. Feminist culture. Human history develops from the colonial era the degree of transfer of rights to the mode patriarchy. In Western countries, it is the process of women gradually losing their power, society, especially under feudalism. Up to now, the issue of feminism is emerging in Western society. Women fight against discrimination, demanding gender equality. On the contrary, in Vietnamese culture, the expression of discrimination against women is very faint. The image of women is still promoted, holding a worthy position in traditional cultural activities, especially in places of religious worship. In folk beliefs, the Vietnamese people sincerely and constantly worship women and call the goddesses Than Mao. Some goddesses are also honored as national mothers, such as National Mother Ao Co, National Mother Tay Thien. The belief in Tam Phu, worshiping Mother Thien, Mother Thuong Nhan, Mother Thuy Toi, and Tu Phu, with the additional worship of Holy Mother Lo Han, is widely worshipped in villages and communes. It is a belief that bears the strong mark of the Vietnamese people. In many regions of Vietnam, there are places of worshiping mother goddesses. People call these mother goddesses the mother goddesses of the land. Those are Lady Shu on Sam Mountain in Chau Doc City on Giang, Lin San Holy Mother on Ba Den Mountain, Tay Ninh, Mother Thien Huay Na of the Cham people in Ba Tower, Nha Trang City, Can Hoa, and the goddess Po Nagar in the towers of the Cham people in the central region. The Vietnamese people imported foreign religions, and Vietnamese culture has adapted to the trend of praising women. When Buddhism entered Vietnam, it became the Lady Buddha. Lady Man Nuong in Dao region, Bac Ninh, became the Mother Buddha of the Vietnamese people. Catholic families often place a picture of the Virgin Mary in a solemn place in their homes. Thousands of years ago, women who sacrificed for the country and people were worshipped by the people as heroic women and role models for their descendants, such as Lady Truong, Lady Trio. In modern times, the image of mothers who devoted their lives to the country is remembered as the heroic Vietnamese mother in Quang Nam, Mother Suoi in Dong Hoi, Quang Binh. Temples of Martyr Vo Thi Sao in Con Dao, Temple of 10 Young Volunteer Girls at Dong Loc Intersection, Ha Tin, Temple of Young Volunteers in Tam Co Cave, Quang Binh. People have the role and position of Vietnamese women. The husband's orders are not as important as the wife's. In a harmonious and democratic relationship, husband and wife in harmony are both equal. You are also welcome. 6. The terrain is heavily agricultural, remote, and isolated from the sea. This feature is quite prominent in Vietnamese culture. Our fathers believed in the concept of agriculture, taking the land as the root, a very practical way of thinking. First, look at the land, then cultivate the land. First, look at the land. Second, look at the people. Therefore, agricultural production relies on growing crops, raising livestock, exploiting the potential of the land to create products to feed people, organizing various cultural activities. The Vietnamese people's common consciousness is the motto, no agriculture, no stability. The Vietnamese people choose fertile alluvial plains and coastal mountainous plains to make a living and organize villages. The achievements of Vietnamese culture clearly demonstrate the ideology of respecting agriculture. Vietnamese villages are rich, imbued with tradition, maintaining traditional customs and traditions, and are tightly organized. The subject is agricultural villages in fertile lands. This culture is the crystallization of the knowledge system about nature and society regarding crop cultivation and livestock and poultry farming. The image of the buffalo is familiar to the people. The buffalo is here. I tell you, the buffalo is here. The buffalo goes out to the field. The buffalo is here with me. This is the capital of the farmer's business. I am the buffalo. Who can control your country? On the dry field, under the worm field, the husband plows. The wife is the buffalo. Many good songs arise from the agricultural labor environment. Hey, you are plowing on the road. Why are you scooping up the golden moonlight? Village Festival, traditional folk festival, shows the spirit of community, and community of villagers, in which there are many agricultural elements. Vietnamese culinary culture has its roots in agriculture. They value agricultural land for a living. Every land is gold. People are the flower of the land. Vietnamese people have told each other to respect thousands of trees. Flood control. Hundreds of canals and ditches were dug to regulate water for farming and livestock raising. Those dikes, canals, and ditches are symbols of people's strength, and at the same time a symbol of Vietnamese agricultural civilization. Looking at the historical process, the Vietnamese people have a tendency to move away from the forests. The development direction is from the forests to the plains and deltas. The forests and mountains are difficult places to work, giving rise to diseases, places where demons are more dangerous and the water is more poisonous. The Vietnamese are the owners of a country with a sea area that is more than 3 times the land area, but this potential and strength have not been exploited or promoted. In general, the Vietnamese culture shows a cautious response to the sea. The seafaring profession has developed in a part of the central region where the land is poor and difficult to cultivate. Ensure livelihood. They catching fish to dry, pickle, and make fish sauce to trade with other regions. The sea is not without dangers. The husbands who went to sea encountered strong winds and big waves, capsized their boats, and could not return. As a result, the young wives holding their children turned to stone waiting for their husbands. Hon Vung Phu. The entire central region, down to the south of the south, has many fishing villages that organize fishing festivals. He prayed that dolphins in the sea would help save the lives of fishermen when they encounter difficulties. Vietnamese fishermen mainly catch fish near the shore, near the coast, to the ocean. This is the sea-like characteristics of Vietnamese people. 7. A multi-ethnic, unified, and diverse society. Vietnam is a multi-ethnic country, 54 ethnic groups, in which the Kin ethnic group accounts for the majority, so the culture in which the Kin ethnic group plays the dominant role. The history of the development of Vietnamese culture has affirmed the respect, coexistence, exchange, and voluntary interaction between ethnic groups, and the opposition to discrimination and coercion of one ethnic group against another. Multinational culture has created potential and strengths to promote the nation's soft power in international relations, increasing friendship and mutual understanding among nations. Vietnamese culture in motion in historical progress has clearly shown the unity of a nation, state's cultural background. Although many ethnic groups migrated to Vietnam at different historical times, some arrived thousands of years ago, some arrived several hundred years ago. But when they chose Vietnam as their place to live, all ethnic groups shared the same idea. The source of the money is compatriots. Recognize that the nation, the people must have a clear position, with a leader representing the people to manage the country. Country. Unify the national flag, national emblem, national name, national anthem of the treaty. Unify the laws of the state. Take the Kin language as the common language in communication. Prescribe the national writing system in each historical period. Unify the ideology and institutions of social management, human behavior to together build and defend the fatherland. The multi-ethnic culture has created a diverse cultural background with diverse elements and forms of expression. To examine and observe any cultural element is to food, restaurant. In terms of culture, costumes, customs, practices, festivals, religious beliefs, literature and art, social organization. We can easily recognize the unique and distinctive features of each person. Those are the signs to recognize each other's culture. When the cultural identity of each ethnic group is integrated into the national cultural background, Vietnamese culture will truly flourish. Diverse, truly a rich cultural, the color is black, the color is white. 8. The culture of the people, the proof and reception of the civilization and humankind. Vietnam is located in an important position in the Western Pacific Ocean, east of the Southeast Asian Peninsula, south of mainland China, north of the Southeast Asian archipelago, and is considered the east-west bridge of the world's cultures. In the history of national development, Vietnam has received the cultural and civilizational streams of mankind. It is Indian, Chinese, Middle Eastern, and Western culture. Looking at the manifestations of Vietnamese culture, we think that Vietnamese culture tends to be stagnant, closed, and autonomous. However, considering the national ethnic aspect in dealing with the major cultural currents of mankind, the signs expressed in Vietnamese culture show that this is the culture of the Vietnamese people. The acceptance of religions and cultural institutions of Hinduism, Buddhism, Hinduism and Mahayana, Confucianism, also known as Confucianism, Taoism, gods and witches, Islam, Orthodox and heterodox, Christianity, also known as Catholicism, Protestantism. The Vietnamese people accept world religions, on the one hand adapting, on the other hand struggling to cope with the incongruities that do not fit with the customs and traditions of the people. Accepting world religions according to the principle of preserving the culture of the people and making people accept world religions. Introducing Buddhism transformed the Buddha statue into Lady Buddha, a type of popularized Buddhism such as Buddha Mao Man Nuong in the Dao region. The establishment of the Vietnamese Buddhist school, Truc Lam Yen Tu Zen sect. The Cham people in the central region established the Chambani polytheistic religion, combining Brahmanism with folk beliefs, Cham customs, and unorthodox Islam. The Chinese religion came to Vietnam and gave birth to the Cao Dai sect. The 8th month is the death anniversary of the father, Saint Tran Hoang Dao. The 3rd month is the death anniversary of the mother, Saint Liu Han. Catholics in their homes both worship God and their ancestors. The Cao Dai religion in Tai Ninh focuses on worshiping the eye, and around it, they worship religious leaders and famous people in the world. One easily seen characteristic is that Vietnamese people are very open to all aspects of human civilization. The opinion is that Vietnamese people are not as strong in Buddhism as Cambodians, Confucianists as Koreans, Christians as Filipinos, and Muslims as Indonesians. A talented person is subtle, skillful, flexible, receptive to good things. Appropriate, not too harsh or overwhelming, showing the Vietnamese way of behaving. Eat in the front, sit in the back. As a man, speak with double-mindedness. The philosophy of harmony, moderation, reason, caution, and conservation are the characteristics of the Vietnamese personality when approaching the world's civilization.